So if you ultimately want to shoot lower scores, lower your handicap, and just have better experiences out on the golf course, improving and tidying up your short game is a great way to do that. And that's why in this video, we're going to give you 5 very simple short game tips to help you improve your score. So we know that most of the shots that you hit during a round of golf are played from within inside 100 yards. So we know that the short game is where we really should be giving quite a big percentage of our focus. We also know that those shots are generally played with a slower club head speed and the swing length is shorter, therefore it makes it much easier to make changes and make improvements. So really focusing your attention on the short game can really help you lower your scores, lower your handicap, and do that relatively quickly. So the 5 tips today are exactly that, they're tips. Now for me, I class a tip as something that you can use next time you play. It doesn't require hours of practice on the range, it doesn't require drills and gym work, it just requires an understanding of what we're trying to do, and then you can take it straight to the golf course. So we're going to start off in this video looking at some tips, and we're going to start off with the first one, which is something to help you with your chipping. So the first tip is something that can really help you with your chipping. Now for the purpose of this video, we're classing a chip shot as a shot from just off the green where the ball has to carry no more than, let's say, 3 or 4 paces. It may well land and roll further than that, but we are talking about these shots when we're very, very close to the green. And when we face the shot like this, we often look at it and it looks relatively straightforward, and we're hoping to get the ball pretty close to give ourselves a very good chance of holding the next putt. But often we don't hit them as close as we'd like. Now this little tip is going to help you not only hit better chip shots, but it's going to make those poorer chip shots you hit end up much closer to the hole. And that's a really key element to improve your short game. So the tip here is to stand in closer and raise the handle up to get the club shaft working closer to vertical. Now, why is that important? Well, it does a couple of things really. What it means is when I stand in closer and I raise the club shaft up, it means that the path of the golf club is going to be closer to straight back and straight through. And it means that the club face has far less rotation through my motion. Those two things make it much easier for me to control the direction that this ball is going in. If you could imagine I stood further away, due to the fact that we've got that club shaft much flatter and I'm stood further away, the path of the club works more inwards and inwards. And along with that, the club face tends to rotate more open, rotate more closed. I can hit good chip shots from there, but it's far more difficult because of the fact that that club face is opening and closing. It's easier for me to hit the ball offline when I'm stood further away. The other thing it really does is it starts to set the toe of the golf club a little lower and raise the heel away from the ground. And we start to get a smaller profile of golf club in contact with the ground. So when I'm making these chip shots and my golf club is interacting with the ground, which is what we want, I'm going to have a much safer interaction with the ground. It's going to make those duff shots far less likely, or if we do slightly mishit it, the result is going to be much closer. So very, very simple. You're going to stand in much closer, raise the handle up, and it's going to help you with your consistency and certainly going to help you chip the ball a little closer. So standing closer, raise the handle up, certainly going to help you with those chip shots. Now this second tip is really just thinking about where you actually put your focus when you're over the ball looking to execute the shot. You can see I'm in the first cut of rough here. It's a good lie, but I'm certainly not in that tight fairway. And you can see I've got a fair bit of green to work with and I'm running a little bit up towards that flag, so it's a little bit uphill. So when I'm choosing the club and I'm choosing the shot that I want to hit, I really need to have visualized that shot. I need to have visualized what flight I'm intending to hit and where that ball's going to land and what it's going to do once it hits the green in terms of slopes and breaks. So once I walk into the shot, I should really have this shot planned out. And what I will see all too often is that when a golfer is making their practice swings or they're going through their routine, when they look up at the target, they're looking at the flag. Now the flag is, with any luck, the end result. That's where the ball should finish. But by planning out the shot, we've hopefully established where that ball should land. And in this case, I'm expecting this ball to land just on the front of the green and then release out due to the shot that I'm going to hit and the lie that I've got. So once I've chosen that landing area, that suddenly has to become my focus. And when I'm making my practice shots and I'm starting to look up at my target, I want to be looking at the place where that ball should land, not where I want the ball to finish. And that's really, really important. If I want the ball to land on the front of the green, and when I look up, I look at the flag, which is potentially at the back of the green, it's going to be really difficult for my body to create the right amount of energy to get that ball to land where I want it to when my focus or attention is somewhere else. So as I'm making my practice strokes here, I'm looking just onto the front of the green, because that is exactly where I want that ball to land. Just on the front of the green, and then rolls all the way up to the flag. And that's ended up a little bit short because I landed it a fraction short of where I wanted, but my intention was good, my routine was good, and my focus was exactly what it should be for that shot. So now we come on to a bunker tip. This is going to work from all those greenside bunker shots that you get during a round of golf. Like many other tips in this video, I love this one because it's really simple, but it does two main things for you. The tip of the idea here is that once you've taken your address and your setup, I want you to think about taking the sand that's around the ball and putting that onto the green. Now the two things it really does is it kind of helps us with our approach angle to the ball. If I'm trying to move the sand from around the ball onto the green, it's probably going to mean that I'm not going to get too steep. I'm not going to be hitting into the sand. It's going to give me the idea that I want to be hitting through the sand, so it helps with my approach angle. And it also gives me a really good idea as to how much speed I'm going to need. If I'm that golfer who tends to be non-committal, I'm a little bit of a decelerator in the bunkers, it's going to sort of leave the sand in the green. So giving me the idea of getting the sand on the green is going to help me commit. It's going to help me focus on moving through to my follow-through position. And it's going to give me a real good perspective how much, like I said, speed I actually need down and through the impact area. So when I'm over this golf ball, my main focus is not on the ball. It's on taking the sand that's around the ball and very simply moving it from the bunker to the green. And if you can do that, you're going to be hitting much more solid bunker shots closer to the hole. It's going to help you get up and down more often. And like I said, it's really, really simple, and you can do it the next time you play. So take the sand around the ball and just put it onto the green. So for this next tip, we're talking a little bit about controlling the trajectory, the height of your shots, which ultimately you're going to need to do if you really want to be able to get your golf ball close when the flag is sort of positioned in different places on the greens. Unfortunately, one-dimensional players tend to struggle approaching certain flags. The more we can get you to vary the trajectory, the better you're going to be. But in the interest of keeping this quite simple and keeping these tips quite simple, I want you to just focus on the club head in the follow-through. Very simply, whatever the flight of the shot is that you want, I want you to think about the club head agreeing with that in the follow-through. So what I mean would be, if I'm after a high shot with a little bit more height, slightly steeper drop angle, a high shot, I'm going to focus on getting the club head to finish high in the follow-through. If I desire a lower shot, I'm going to focus on getting the club head to finish much lower in the follow-through. Now, if that's my focus, I'm going to make some adjustments in my release and my sort of wrist action and my forearm action in order to achieve those different end positions. Focusing on where that club head is will mean that you're doing different things through impact, and that's really the key message here. We're trying to give you a very, very simple tip to give you a desired outcome in the golf ball. So for the shot that I've got here, I actually probably need a relatively mid-flighted shot, but we're going to go ahead and hit this one high and low just based on the follow through. So this first one, we're going to try and go for a high shot. So my focus here is, can I get the club head to finish high in the follow through? Okay, high follow through, high ball flight, landed it on the front. So not really the shot that I would use from here, but you can see how the ball flight matched my end position. Now on this one, I'm going to try and land it shorter with a little bit more roll. So I'm after a lower shot, which will mean I'm going to have a lower follow-through position. Lower ball flight, lower hand position. You can see just how that ball's kept much lower. Now that would be a much more desirable shot choice from the situation I'm in here. Didn't really need to throw it into the air. But a very, very simple focus on where you finish can really help you adjust the trajectory of the shots. Start to practice that and get comfortable with that, and you're going to find that you can get closer to more of those flags on the green. That's a really, really important skill to develop. And the final tip, tip number 5, is again all about routine and about what you do before you actually go ahead and execute the shot. I want you to go through a process what I call find the ground, see the shot. And this is going to really help you when you're chipping and pitching from around the greens. Very often you'll find yourself in a situation, as I am here, where the ground is slightly uneven. This is a slightly ball above my feet situation, but as you look around this green, it will be very, very easy to find a situation where the ball is below my feet, or I'm on a slight slope, or I have an unlevel lie. Now what that really means is that the ground is going to be somewhere different relative where it normally is. On this particular occasion, the ground and the ball are closer to me. So I have really two goals when I walk into this shot. I've chosen the shot that I want to hit, I've got my club, and I've kind of visualized the shot that I want to have happen. But I need to control the radius of my swing. I need, on all the shots I hit around the green, I need the bottom of the golf club to have some contact with the ground, and that ideally needs to be where the ball is. So my first job when I walk in is what I call find the ground. I need to establish and get a sensation as to where that ground is relative to me. I'm finding my radius, the bottom of my circle. I'm trying to align that so it sits nicely on the ground. And that's not easy because, as I say, this ball is closer to me, so I have to do that through a little bit of feel and a little bit of kind of awareness drill. So the first thing I'm going to do is I walk in and I have this exercise where I'm just trying to find the ground. I'm just trying to establish the radius of my golf swing. Once I've done that, I then need to see the shot. So my next few practice swings are where I'm more looking at the target and I'm starting to see the shot that I've predicted, the shot that I've chosen, and starting to feel what that would be like. Just notice when you watch some good players how when some of their practice swings, the looks at the target will be quite extended. They'll be longer than normal. And what they're really trying to do is see that flight, predict that land, the roll, and the end result. So if I was hitting this shot on the golf course, I've chosen the club, I've chosen how I want the ball to fly, land, and roll. So I walk in. My first job is to find the ground, establish my radius, and then I'm more into seeing the shot, creating the flight, visualizing the land and the roll, and then when I walk in, I can go ahead and execute. And if I can go through that process, it's going to get me away from any technical thoughts, away from kind of what am I doing with the club or my body or my hands, and I'm really starting to get immersed in the shot. And if I can really do that, I'm going to find my results are far, far better, and I'm starting to be a little bit more feel and touch orientated rather than focusing very much on my technique. So the last point is to find the ground, see the shot, and make sure you do that before all of your short shots around the green. Okay, so we've covered chip shots, we've covered pitch shots, we've covered bunker shots, routines and focus. So kind of all the shots that you're going to be faced with around the greens. We've hopefully given you something that you can take to the golf course next time you play. And the real idea of this video was exactly that, was to give you some things that you can use next time you play to give you instant success. And I really hope we've done that in this video. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up, drop me a comment down below. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And if you're not a subscriber, it is absolutely free. There is a description in the link below. There's also one over here which you can click. Would love it to have you part of the community. I really believe these videos can help you play the best golf of your life. Thanks for watching.